Shri Ganesha Sharada Gurubhyo Namaha Agajanana Padmarkam Gajananam Aharnisham Anekadam Tam Bhaktanam Ekadantam Upasmahe. Welcome to all for this session on Ganesha Purana to chapter 65. In the previous chapter, we were hearing the story told by Kaundinya to his wife Ashraya, in which he was telling how once in the Devasabha, while Tilottama was dancing, Yama had a lustful eye on her when her upper garment fell, and because of that reason Yama's semen got spilt onto the ground, and from that born a huge demonic fire. And on seeing the demon, the sages and gods ran away from there to Vishnu to help them to put off the demonic fire. But Vishnu took all of them to Gajanana. They all together eulogized Gajanana, and Gajanana took the shape of a small boy and appeared before them and told them that he will put off the demonic fire. On hearing this story, Ashraya, the wife of Kaundinya, sage Kaundinya, she asked her husband, when the gods and sages had departed and the child who was like a mountain remained, what interesting thing happened there in regard to the boy and the fire of time? Great sage, quickly tell me everything in detail. Then Kaundinya told her, when Gajanana, the boy who was like a mountain, stood unmoving as the demonic fire was approaching him, unshakable like the fire of an evil spirit, and at that very moment the earth moved, even though it was immovable. With roars like rumbling thunder, he roared in the sky, and swarms of birds fell off the branches of trees to the ground. The ocean became waterless, trees were uprooted, and nothing could be discerned because of the great agitation. At that very moment, the god Gajanana, appearing as a boy, restrained the fire demon by the power of illusion. Then, while everyone was watching, he consumed that fire. He consumed the Gajanana consumed the demonic fire, like Agastya drank the entire ocean. But the god wondered, if he has entered my stomach to see something really miraculous, he might burn the triple world which is there in my stomach. Incidentally, the entire triple world will be inside the stomach of Gajanana. This we have heard it in the past, when Gajanana himself took Brahma inside his belly, where he had shown him the triple world and all that Brahmanda. So because of that reason, now if the demonic fire enters into the belly of Gajanana, it might burn the triple world. Indra then gave him the moon to extinguish that fire, and the gods and sages eulogized him as Balachandra. But even then, even though moon was placed on the head of Gajanana to put off the fire, and the gods calling him Balachandra, so the fire was not extinguished because it had gone into his throat. Then Brahma gave him two young maidens called Siddhi and Buddhi, who were born from his mind. Both had eyes like lotuses, smooth tapering thighs, and hair which was like the Saivala plant. Their faces were moon-like, their voices like ambrosia, their navels were well formed, the folds in their skin were like rivers, their waists were like lotus fibers, their hands like young sprouts. They were the cause of frigidity. After both of them, both those both those women tightly embraced them. Brahma told them, "Your fire will quieten down when you have embraced them." And by embracing them, his fire quietened down a little. Vishnu, Kamala's husband, gave him a very pleasing lotus, such that all the gods and men called him Padmapani. So the Vishnu gave him a lotus which is so cool, with the assumption that it will going to put off the fire. Like Brahma gave him the two maidens to put off the fire, Vishnu also did that. With that, the Ganesha was called Padmapani. But still the fire was not extinguished. So Varuna sprinkled that fire with the cold water. No results. See, Shiva then gave him a snake with 1,000 hoods, and though it was bound with what, it burst out, because the snake binding it had burst. So Shiva then gave him a snake to bind it around his neck so that it will not enter into his belly, otherwise it would burn the triple worlds located in his belly. Moreover, it had not become cold, and his neck was on fire. 1,088 sages who were present at that place then respectfully approached him, and on his head they singly placed 21 pieces of Durva grass called ambrosia that worked like an ambrosia. After that, the fire became cooler, and honored by the lords of Durva Grass, the Supreme Self became satisfied. In fact, Durva Grass is known for cooling our body. Incidentally, here the rishis did the same thing. They took Durva grass and put it on the head of Gajanana so that whatever fire he had consumed will be put off. Realizing this, they all worshipped Gajanana, and Gajanana himself rejoiced because of many loads of Durva grass. To the gods and sages he said, "Whether it be great or small, without blades of Durva grass, devotion and worship performed for me is useless. Nobody will obtain the results of worship without blades of Durva grass. Therefore, whether it be one piece or 21, Durva grass devotedly offered at dawn by my devotees will produce a great result. But that will not be brought about by 100 sacrifices, gifts, masses of performances of sacred vratas, fierce austerities, and restraints undertaken over myriads of lives. It is gained because of Durva grass, O gods and sages." That is how exactly the Durva is much more powerful, and offering Durva to Gajanana is much more meritorious compared to even performing the great yajnas or offering great gifts or performing masses of performance of sacred vratas. Compared to all of them, offering at least one blade of Durva grass or 21 blades of Durva grass is considered as the most auspicious one for the Gajanana. Kaundinya, who was telling this story to his wife Ashraya, he continued, "After they had heard this speech, the gods again honored the Supreme Self Gajanana, God of gods, with blades of Durva grass. Full of joy, Gajanana roared, filling the sky and earth with a vast noise. And after giving many boons to all the gods, sages, and men who had rejoiced, he resumed the form of a boy. Together they named him Extinguisher of the Fire of Time. And after they had erected an image of Gajanana, they all constructed a temple The happy gods gave it the title, "Here is the remover of obstacles." Bathing, gift giving, austerity, and service performed there beget a perpetual result due to Vignahara's favor. The city was called Victory, Vijaya, because the victory is obtained from it, and because everyone's obstacles were removed, it became remover of obstacles. Then Kaundinya said, "Everything concerning this excellent Durva Mahatmya has been narrated to you. The hearing and reciting of this story will destroy all evil. Now, while I am still reciting, listen to this ancient tradition." Thus ends the 65th chapter of Upasana Khanda of the glorious Ganesha Purana, in which we have heard how the Ganesha, in the form of a boy to save the gods and the sages, had consumed that demonic fire which was born out of the semen of Yama, and that fire could not be put off by various means. Brahma offered him his two maidens, and Indra put the moon on his head. Shiva gave him the sarpa to bind around his neck. Vishnu gave him the lotus, but none of them could able to put off the fire, which if entered into the belly of Ganesha could even burn all the triple world that is existing in his belly. And then all the sages together offered 21 blades of grass on the head of Gajanana, and with that the fire was put off, because as such medically Durva grass is having a cooling effect. And then Ganesha was immensely pleased with the offering of the Durva grass, and then he declared, saying that offering a Durva grass is much more meritorious compared to performing any kind of vrata or even the yagnas or even the donations. So then all the gods brought loads of grass, Durva grass, and offered it to Gajanana, with which the Gajanana was pleased and gave them lot of boons. And such is the Mahatmya speciality of the Durva grass. Namaste Sharada Devi Kashmira Puravasini Twamaham Prarthaye Nityam Vidya Danancha Dehime. Goodbye.